This foodie cat was abandoned by his father, but he gets an even better caretaker. However, after a few years, his father returns to take him on a dangerous mission. On a dark and stormy night, a little orange kitten named Garfield was left in an alley by his irresponsible father. He called Garfield Jr. and asked him to wait. Garfield kept waiting for his father, but he never returned. Poor Kitten was hungry for days and started staring at the restaurant across the street. Without a second thought, he rushed to the restaurant and peeked in through the window. All the customers were enjoying delicious food, but there was one customer who seemed as lonely as Garfield. It was a man named John Arbuckle who had no family or friends. He ordered a pizza but has no one to share with. He suddenly noticed Garfield on the window and offered him a slice. The little Garfield ate the whole pizza in seconds and asked John to order a family-size lasagna. While waiting for his order, Garfield started to eat from others' tables. John rushed to catch Garfield and left the restaurant with his food. He said goodbye to the kitten because he couldn't keep pets in his apartment, but Garfield stared at him with puppy eyes. John fell for his cuteness and bought a new house so he could keep Garfield. It's been years since the incident, and Garfield has grown up into a fat and lazy cat. John also adopted another pet named Odie. Despite being a dog, Odie is really obedient towards Garfield. John is really innocent too, so Garfield is the new head of the house. All day, he orders food of his choice and sits on his luxurious couch to watch cat shows. John doesn't mind anything because he loves Garfield. He brought a purpose in John's lonely life. Garfield also loves John, but it only shows when no one is looking. Every night, Garfield tucks John in bed and puts on some relaxing music so John can have a peaceful sleep. Until now, Garfield's life was better than perfect, but little does he know, it's all going to collapse. In the middle of the night, Garfield starts to feel hungry. He asks Odie for help and gets dragged to the fridge. It's full of delicious food that Garfield keeps ordering all day using John's credit card. Garfield asks Odie to gather all the food so they can go to the room and eat in peace. Suddenly, two scary dogs block Garfield's way. He assumes it's just a dream and asks Odie to wake him up. However, it's not a dream at all. Garfield offers to give John's credit card along with the password, but the dogs don't want money. They are here to kidnap him. They put Garfield and Odie in bags and carry them to an unknown location. Afterward, they hang Garfield and Odie from the ceiling and walk away. Garfield tries to be brave and orders the dogs to let him go on the count of 3. His counting reaches 300, but the dogs don't listen to him. Garfield gives up on his life and even sees the angel of death. Suddenly, the angel starts speaking and offers to help them. He's going to cut the rope so they can swing down to the corridor. Garfield doesn't allow this risky act, but the angel does it anyway. After landing down safely, the angel calls Garfield Jr. and asks him to hurry up. Garfield recognizes the voice and pulls away the angel's cloak. It is Garfield's father, Vic. He asks Garfield to calm down for now and follow him, but Garfield is burning in anger. He refuses to follow orders because Vic lost this privilege a long time ago. Suddenly, a huge white cat interrupts them. She is the real boss who ordered the dogs to kidnap Garfield and Odie. She also knows Vic and gets surprised to see him after a long time. Garfield gets confused and asks for an explanation. The white cat introduces herself as Jinx and shares her tragic life story. She belonged to a small town outside of London. She made her way through hard times to fulfill her one and only dream. She wanted to be seen as a valuable citizen. However, she failed. Then she met Vic and his crew. Together, they were just a bunch of losers and didn't have much. But they had each other and became a warm family. One day, they tried to steal a big batch of milk but got caught. Vic escaped without Jinx, and she never forgave him for that. She was put in a smelly and filthy jail where she met the dogs. Together, they escaped the jail and made their own path in the world. Jinx was doing better than ever, but she wanted to take revenge from Vic. She didn't find him, but found his son, Garfield. She kidnapped him to lure Vic. Now she wants him to get that 1 liter of milk she lost due to him. Once that's done, they will be even. Garfield agrees with Jinx and says that Vic can do anything except for raising his son. However, Jinx has a twist. She wants 1 liter of milk for every night she spent on the streets. It was around 4 years, so Vic has to get 1,675 liters of milk. That much milk can only be found at the lactose farms where Vic deceived Jinx. It's not just a one-man job, so Jinx wants Garfield and Odie to accompany Vic. Garfield refuses to help, but if he doesn't, he has to stay with the dogs. They have 2 days to complete this mission. Otherwise, they will never see the sun again. Garfield gets really angry and blames Vic for pulling him into the life of crime. Vic apologizes and says that he's not as bad as Garfield thinks. He just needs a chance to explain himself. However, Garfield doesn't want to listen to anyone and tries to leave this mess, but Jinx stops him. She orders the dogs to keep following them so Garfield or Vic don't run away without completing the mission. Garfield has no other option left, but after completing this mission, he doesn't want to see Vic ever again. Vic agrees to the terms and asks Garfield to calm down, because lactose farms have a lot of cows that supply large amounts of milk every day. They will easily get the required amount, and Garfield will be able to go back home sooner than he thinks. But getting to the lactose farms is a little bit of adventure. The next morning, John has finally woken up and starts looking for his pets. He notices the open fridge and the food dropped on the ground. Garfield never lets a single grain of food go to waste, so it means something happened to him. John gets really worried and calls the police. Meanwhile, Garfield is waiting for the train to arrive. He asks Vic to bring a rope because that's how actors in movies jump on the train. But Vic likes the old traditional way. He shoots Garfield using a tree while Odie and Vic jump directly on the train. Poor Garfield keeps bouncing here and there before landing inside the train. Garfield gets really frustrated and says that he shouldn't have trusted Vic. But Vic asks Garfield to look at the bright side because he can learn a lot of life lessons from this mission. Garfield is a pampered cat who mostly stays indoors. This mission will make him tougher and independent. Moreover, Vic wants to experience the life of a dad teaching life skills to his kids. Hearing this, Garfield gets more angry and says that Vic can never make up for the past 5 years of his absence. Garfield goes to rest in the cozy area prepared by Odie, but a bunch of insects attack him. Vic uses some wooden chips to scare away the insects and calls it one of the life skills Garfield hasn't learned. Vic expects a thanks, but Garfield ignores him and points at their destination. They have reached the famous lactose farms. Surprisingly, they have increased their security, so it will not be easy to steal the milk. Garfield walks away in disappointment, but he suddenly notices someone. It's Otto, the bull who used to perform at the lactose farm. Garfield wonders why Otto is sitting far away under a tree. He rushes to introduce himself as a huge fan who buys all dairy products that have a picture of Otto. He wants to request Otto for help in getting the milk, but Otto is not interested in interacting with anyone. He's really depressed right now. A year ago, the old man who ran the farm was forced out. The cooperation that took over kicked out Otto, and he was separated from his true love, Ethel. Afterward, she was forced to perform for the visitors. Otto tried to help Ethel escape, but the authorities didn't let him. They may not let anyone steal the milk either. Garfield gets a clever idea and offers to rescue Ethel if Otto agrees to help them. Otto immediately says yes and makes a rough map to explain the rescue plan. The farms are divided into different rooms, and each one of them is full of different kinds of security measures. Otto chooses a long way, but Garfield suggests they should directly go through the cheese room. In response, Otto says that the cheese room is unimaginable pain and misery, so they should not even think about it. It's safer to use the air vent and reach the refrigerator room. From there, they can proceed to the loading dock and steal the milk truck keys. Afterward, they will pick up Ethel and escape the farms. But Otto only finds Odie trustworthy and doubts if the cats have the skills to complete this mission. Therefore, he wants to give them crucial training. The cats agree without realizing what's coming their way. In the name of training, the bull literally tortures them. He keeps hitting them with hard objects and making them run miles for no reason. At the end, Otto calls the cats failures who will never survive the lactose farms. Garfield gets angry because he wonders how hard a farm can go. Otto keeps warning them, and as the last part of training, he ties them up around a tree. Garfield and Vic need to develop some understanding and teamwork. Otherwise, they will not be able to carry out this mission successfully. However, Garfield doesn't even want to see Vic because it keeps reminding him about the unfortunate incident. He can't believe that Vic left him for apparently no reason, and now he dragged Garfield into this mess. If it wasn't for Vic, Garfield would have been enjoying an extra large pizza at home. In anger, Garfield says that everything that Vic ever did was hurting him. Vic doesn't agree because he always tried to help Garfield. If they are tied together anyway, then it's time for Garfield to know the whole truth about his childhood. Vic was having a hard time and didn't have food to eat or feed his little son. People rejected him wherever he went. One night, Vic saw a waiter throwing trash outside a restaurant. Vic thought that the trash must have something to eat, so he left Garfield in a corner and went to check the trash. Before he could get there, the waiter came back to attend a call. It went too long, and Vic couldn't return to his son for more than an hour. He eventually checked the trash but found only one tiny fish. Vic still felt grateful and carried the fish to his son, but Garfield had already met John and was enjoying a luxurious dinner. He seemed happier and fuller, so Vic didn't feel right to ruin his son's only chance to have a better life. After that, Vic visited his son many times, but never gathered enough courage to face Garfield and drag him back to the miserable life of the streets. Garfield gets overwhelmed by the story and regrets his awful behavior. Otto has heard everything as well and believes that the cats are going to have a better relationship. Therefore, it's time to start the mission. The dogs are secretly keeping an eye on everything and inform Jinx about the progress. Jinx gets really happy to know that everything is going according to plan. Now it's time for the next move because Jinx doesn't only want milk, she's planning an even bitter revenge from Vic. Jinx calls at the lactose farm and leaves a message for the animal control officer, Marge Malone. She wants to alert Marge about the robbery so Vic gets caught and rot in jail forever. At first, Marge's team assumes that it's a prank call with cat noises, but Marge is really dedicated to her job. She has developed a special mobile application that allows her to translate animal speech. After interpreting the message, Marge gets ready to catch the intruders. The next day, Garfield and his team prepare to start the mission. Otto gives each of them a nut for communication. Garfield gets confused, but Otto asks him to keep faith. As the visitors start entering the farm, Odie and the cats hide in the kid's backpack and sneak inside the farm. Surprisingly, the nut Otto gave actually works like Bluetooth devices. With the help of Otto's instructions, the team succeeded in reaching the air vent. They should travel all the way to the refrigerator room, but Garfield is curious about the forbidden cheese room. Otto gave him several warnings, but he entered the cheese room anyway. Garfield jumps on a giant block of cheddar and starts eating it, but soon the block reaches the shredding machine. Odie tries to save his friend, but Garfield ends up in an even worse place, the boiling fondue maker. After getting saved from there, he gets stuck on the deadly slicer. Eventually, Vic saves both Garfield and Odie, and they all escape to the loading dock. The workers' break is going to end in 5 minutes. The team has to find the truck keys before that. However, Marge was looking forward to their arrival, so she picked up the key already. Garfield tries to become the hero and jumps forward to attack Marge, but he gets caught in seconds. Now it's Odie and Vic's turn. Otto creates a distraction by trying to get into the farms, and Vic uses this chance to get the truck keys, but he leaves Garfield and Odie behind. He steals the milk truck and delivers it to Jinx, but she finally reveals her true intentions. She wanted Vic to get caught like her, but that didn't happen, so she has to find another way to punish him. Meanwhile, Garfield and Odie are thrown in cages, but Garfield is more worried about what Vic did. How can he abandon his son again? All the emotional stories he told were just lies. While staying at the shelter, Garfield meets Vic's old crew. They also called him a deceiver because he used to leave them behind all the time. He used to say that he's going to see his son, but all he did was sit on an oak tree across the street and watch his son eat. Therefore, the other cats kicked Vic out of their crew. Garfield assumes that Vic just made up stories to run from his responsibilities. There's no way he was visiting him every day. Suddenly, Odie arrives to meet him and brings John as well. Garfield had forgotten that he was wearing a collar and a name tag. This helped John find him. They get back home where John has prepared a huge feast for his beloved pets. Before eating, Garfield suddenly remembers the story of the oak tree. He steps out of the house and walks to the tree across the street. His jaw drops when he sees all the marks left by Vic whenever he visited this place. Garfield's house is clearly visible from this tree, so Vic must be checking on him every day. He also intentionally let Marge catch Garfield so he could get back home away from Jinx's further evil deeds. Vic was right. He always tried to help his son. It's time for Garfield to help his dad. Jinx is going to throw Vic down when the train passes over the bridge. Garfield needs some help, so he calls Otto. They arrive at the bridge and Garfield jumps on the train to rescue his dad. Jinx gets really angry and orders the dogs to kill both cats. Luckily, Garfield had already made Plan B. He has ordered thousands of drone food deliveries. Garfield hangs on the drones and keeps attacking the dogs with food. He ends the fight by breathing fire using hot sauce. Afterward, he jumps down with Vic to land in the net set up by Otto. Unfortunately, it was too tight, and the cats got caught by the dogs again. Seeing their lovely bond, the dogs feel ashamed of themselves and decide to leave Jinx's side. Jinx is left alone, but the story doesn't end here. The cats disguise themselves as a human being and exchange the milk truck and Jinx for Ethel. Marge agrees on the deal, and Otto finally unites with his love. Vic drops Garfield at his house and promises to keep visiting him, but Garfield wants to live with him. Vic gets really happy to hear that and agrees to be John's third pet. John welcomes him too and feels like he adopted another Garfield because he's an exact copy of Vic. All day, both cats just eat and watch TV. but John doesn't mind because he's having a bigger and loveliest family.